daydreaming, whatever, and I was thinking about, for lack of a better term, or there probably is no better term, God, right? Which, it's a shame that when you say that, now I'm not like religious, so to speak, or I didn't grow up with any sort of religion, but I still feel that it's a shame the stigma the word has, right? Like, in my mind, God is that which can never be fully conceived of, that which isn't understood, the unknown, and at the same time, the all-powerful. You know, it's not, it can't be something that you can get your head around to even believe in or not believe in. God is, at least from my understanding, or the way I like to think about it, God is too much to even be thought of, right? God is that which you can't think of. And so, but when people hear the word God, or they hear someone talk about God, or they see a representation of God, they have an image and an idea which is very well defined inside their own head of what that is. And that image and idea is tied directly with a whole bunch of bad things, like the Crusades and religious manipulation and all sorts of things that are in pop culture sort of currently viewed as bad. Like, to be anti-religion these days is essentially the same thing as being anti-God, which I don't really think they have to be related at all. They can be, but they don't have to be. Because religion is a very man-made thing. It's a very clearly defined, clearly conceived of idea that it would be hard to deny human beings created. We created religion. We use religion. We are, humans are religious, but humans are not God. We didn't create God. By definition, we can't have created God, because by definition, God created us. So to me, there's a significant disconnect between religion and God, but that's not what I was really thinking about. What I was thinking about is why people insist on God. And I'm using God in my definition, but to move away from that word, I think the better question is, why do people insist on things greater than themselves? Why do they insist on things out of their control, things that they are at the mercy of? So, examples don't have to be like some intelligent designer God type of thing. A lot of folks who don't believe in God at all still believe in luck, right? They believe in superstition. Like, there's a lot of folks who are superstitious, whether or not they want to admit it. People who claim to be atheists, I'll still hear them say things like, something is meant to be or not meant to be. Oh, like, we're meant to be together, or just wasn't meant to be, or just these ideas that there's something beyond a quantifiable, measurable, scientific world. And that's not the right word, because, science at its heart is seeking that which is unknown, that which is undiscovered, not understood, and beyond comprehension, that which breaks the currently accepted laws of nature, right? That's what science is about, is discovering those things. And obviously science has become sort of a religion in itself, in the way people strive to reinforce their beliefs, or strive to publish things and share beliefs and spread their word and their ideas, as opposed to disprove. And obviously it's kind of a cliche because everyone has had this critique of science before, but it's true. I mean, the goal of science is to disprove itself. And the idea of God is that it can't be proven. It can't be bargained with. It can't be negotiated with. It can't be defeated. It can't be tricked, right? You don't trick God. God sees you when you're alone. Everything you do, all your actions are seen by God. And so that is part of the idea of why I think folks insist on God, is because God ends up being, regardless of what religion or institution it's framed in, God really is the source of your moral compass. So the concept of Jesus watching over you or whatever, behave well so you get into heaven, don't die, don't sin, whatever, all that's really saying is be good, right? Follow your moral compass. Don't do it for recognition. Don't do it for, any sort of profit or benefit to yourself. Do it purely because it's the right thing to do. And because there is no intrinsic source of right and wrong, God is created to be that thing beyond us, which provides that source, right? So if there's some external, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-seeing creature, being, whatever, that sets the standard for good, then you can align yourself with that. And you don't have to wander in a confusion of right and wrong, because that confusion is basically a result of hold on, let me park my truck. It's not a Corolla thought today, it's a Tacoma thought. That confusion is because you don't have a standard. You can't set your own standards, right? You can self-reference, but you need something to measure yourself against. And that's why God arises over and over again, all over the world, over thousands of years, is because when it's written about and drawn about and spoken about, it becomes this very singular, simple idea, person, whatever. But when you experience it, you're experiencing a unexplainable source of direction. And that direction, for most people, in fact, for all people, whether or not they agree with each other, for all people, it's good. Even people that 99% of the world view as bad think they're doing good, right? So they are compelled to travel in a certain direction. And that is, in my opinion, that's why God keeps coming up. That's why people think they're lucky or unlucky, or people think certain things are meant to be, or they believe something is fated or not fated. Folks who don't believe in God still insist on some force that determines the course of reality and determines the nature and the value of things outside themselves, whether something is good or bad, right or wrong, whatever, right? So that's my point. Now, what I was thinking about earlier is how I would explain this to someone who staunchly disagrees with my idea. And my concept is this. So step away from God or whatever, any religious, spiritual, abstract nonsense. If you were, let's just say that you were invited into a house, or not even invited. Let's just say there was a sign that says, please come in, and the door's open and there's a house, and you go into the house and it's very nice. There are nice things. It's clean. It's well put together. There's valuables. There's clearly someone has taken care of it, and someone has built it to be enjoyed and inhabited. It's not just a random combination of objects. It's a very purposeful dwelling, right? And you're in the house, but you don't know if the owner of the house is there. You don't know if they have cameras in the house. You don't know if they're watching you from across the street through a window or whatever. In fact, you don't even know if they necessarily exist or not, if there even is an owner. But the question is, how would you behave in that house, right? And I have a suspicion that the majority of people, at least myself, would behave in a way that is good, quote, good, respectful, courteous. They wouldn't trash it. They wouldn't steal. Again, you don't know if you're being watched or not, right? You don't know if there's security around the corner or whatever. You don't know the consequences of your actions. It's not like it's a completely abandoned location and you're just all on your own. Like, you're in the unknown. So the idea is that even when you don't know, oh my fucking bullshit, if you don't know if you're being watched or not, you'll still act as if you are, right? Like, let's just say you were hired to do a job. There's no rules. They said, listen, I trust you to do the job right, whatever you need to do, however much it costs. I'm not providing you any rules. You have free will, but the owner of the house or the car or whatever may or may not be watching you do the job. You're going to do the job in a manner as if they were watching you, right? Because that is what in the human mind by default will lead us to do the job best, is if we do it as if we're being watched, right? And so that's the metaphor, is like, we want to behave in a way that is right. And I'm not defining right or good. I'm just saying we want to be right. And so it helps us to be right if we imagine there's something that knows what's right and is judging us off of that. You know, it could be anything. I like using the word God, but it could be anything. It could be if you think the universe has, you know, what goes around comes around or whatever. Like, there's a million different ways that we put the accountability onto something else to decide right or wrong, you know. And then it's our job, if you believe in free will, which I do, but it's our job to use our free will to act in congruency with that. So that's my idea of God. I like the word God. I like the idea of God. You know, I think true science likes the idea of God. I think an honest scientist is searching for God and is discovering God through their measurements of the very tangible and measurable mathematics that make up the universe. I don't think to believe in God is to not believe in math or science. I think they fundamentally are the same thing, and God, by definition, creates that. God is the only thing so powerful and so great and so overwhelming to the human mind that it can both exist and not exist. It doesn't have to be something that you believe in or not. It is the idea that you have belief, and it is what provides the landscape for you to choose what you believe in and what you don't believe in, right? So God is not something to not be believed in or believed in. That is the symbol of God that we use. But the actual God is something that is beyond our capability of even denying or even speaking to or even following. right? God, it's too big. It's too, but it's also too small. I don't, anyway, that's enough. This is a Tacoma thought, not a Corolla thought. We'll talk more about God later, I guess. Adios.